Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube. I have been wanting to do this YouTube for a very long time because it's something that I struggled with when I started my HYROX and my running journey in June last year. I didn't know how to fuel properly. I ended up gaining weight because I thought I could get away with eating far more because I was training far more, what I thought. And I ended up gaining weight and I felt very uncomfortable in myself in September till November last year. And then I figured out how to fuel it properly, basically. And I wanted to share that with you in case you're getting into HYROX or you're getting into running, so that you don't make the same mistakes as I do and end up feeling absolutely miserable in yourself. Because I will never forget just sitting in my room in Bali last October, November. It was October time actually. For a full month, I'd say, I was crying my eyes out because I felt so uncomfortable in myself. Like I had put on a good bit of weight and it all came down to the food. It was nothing else. It all came down to my nutrition. I was just eating way too many calories, drinking too many calories. And I didn't even want to leave the house. I was so embarrassed in my body. I didn't want to do content anymore. And obviously my job is online. I have to share things online. I just wasn't myself and I wanted to give up my job because I was like, how can I coach people when I can't even get myself in shape? I felt really overwhelmed as well because I was like, how am I going to get back to where I used to be? It's going to take me far too long. And honestly, it didn't. Once I got stuck in, it took me 6 weeks to get the weight back off because I knuckled in, and I'm going to go through everything. It is really important that you do it in phases and you don't do your diet right up to a HYROX race. And I'm going to go through all of that in today's YouTube. So stay till the end because there might be a little cheeky discount as well. Because I just really feel very passionate about this. I want girls to, yes, of course, put performance first because that's what helped me last year when I was just so bored of strength training. I came out of a photo shoot prep, didn't want to do the bodybuilding show. I felt really lost. When I started my HYROX and my running journey then, I had something fun to work towards. It was like a new me. I honestly was a different person. I loved going to the gym again. It was like a new challenge. Of course, running and HYROX was a really hard challenge, but it was a great challenge that I started. And obviously, yes, I love saying performance first, but I actually do care about how I look because it gives me the confidence to show up online. It gives me the confidence to walk into a pub not hiding myself. I worked hard for years to be able to wear whatever I wanted, and that last year I had to cover myself up a lot, and I don't want people to feel like they have to cover up. I want to show girls that they can lose weight even if they are training hard, but it has to be in phases. You can't do it right up to a race, like I said. You have to be smart about it. And yeah, you can do both. You can want both. I think there's a lot of people out there that say if you're training for performance, you shouldn't care about your aesthetics and stuff. And I disagree because I was so miserable in myself last year. So I want to show you how to do both, basically. I want you to show up as the best person that you can be, the most confident person that you can be. And yeah, that's what I'm going to go through in today's episode. Okay, so basically the mistakes that I made last year when I first started HYROX and running was I decided to not track my calories for the first time in probably 3-4 years, I would say. I tracked them consistently unless I had a holiday. That was mistake number one, but I'm not annoyed at myself. It was a learning curve, and I don't think that you should have to track calories forever. Absolutely not. But maybe because I was trialing out a new training thing, I probably should have kept track of my calories so that I didn't go way over, if that makes sense. So because I wasn't tracking, I was eating a lot of food before my runs because I just thought I needed to eat more. I was probably having a lot more snacks. When I was eating out, I wasn't really picking the best options. I was getting desserts. And that is okay for somebody that's a bit tall. You could probably get away with it. I am only 5 foot, so the weight crept on. I also was drinking more liquid calories. I wasn't being cautious of that. So all those liquid calories that didn't even keep me full added up to a lot across the week. So I ended up gaining weight. So that is mistake number one. And well, that's just the biggest mistake. Actually, that's the only mistake, was like probably not tracking my calories. If I could go back, I would track my calories, but I also didn't really know back then how to fuel my sessions, because now I know that you train the sessions that day, if that makes sense. So like strength sessions need different calories and fuel to a hard HYROX session, to a hard interval session, to an easy run, to a rest day. So that is what I do now, is I fuel the demand of the session basically. So my calories can vary throughout the week and throughout each day basically. My protein's always the same. My fats is always the same, and it's just my carbs that I will bring up on the hard session days and lower it down a little bit on the easier session days. I don't cut carbs out completely. Carbs are the main source of fuel for your body, right? If you cut them out, you're going to be absolutely exhausted. You're not going to be able to train properly. You're also not going to be able to perform your best. And if you want to drop weight and improve your performance, you have to train this or fuel session. You also have to make sure that you've got good carbs in post-session, so after your session, because otherwise you're not going to bring your energy back into your body basically, and you're going to be floored. Okay, so that was like the biggest thing, if I could go back and tell myself, would be to learn more about fueling the sessions, track my calories properly again, and if I could change anything, that would be it. But again, it's all a learning curve, and I'm glad I went through that. When I lost the weight then in November till December, that was like literally 6 weeks I knuckled in and I lost it. I lost like 4 kg. That's all I needed to lose, because I am small. 4 kg is a lot of weight for a small person to lose. It looks like a lot when you actually lose it. And I was like a different person. I had so much confidence in myself again, and honestly my running performance improved so much because I was lighter. I wasn't carrying that excess body weight. Do you have to lose weight to perform better? Probably not. If you don't have a lot of weight to lose, you might not have to do that. But for me, it made a massive difference because I was carrying extra body weight for me. And when I lost that, I was far lighter on my feet. I had way more energy because I was lighter. I wasn't carrying that extra weight. And in February, I done my very first half marathon, and I think I ran it in a pace of like 4:50 or something. Like, I didn't even think I could run a half marathon this time last year, never mind do it in that pace in February. Like, it was crazy. And I swear that it was because I lost the weight before that it actually helped me do that. Then I went on to come second in my last HYROX race. It was a doubles HYROX race, and I didn't diet right up until that. I had kind of stopped the diet before the half marathon, brought my calories back up to maintenance, had way more energy to perform better in my sessions coming up to the HYROX race, because I think there might have been like maybe 7-8 weeks between the half marathon and the HYROX race. I'm not really sure, but something around that. So the main thing for me was to bring calories back up to perform my best. And yeah, it showed in the results on my HYROX race day. I was literally so happy. I had never felt better. Like, my energy was so high. I felt so good running around that HYROX race. I think the average pace was like 4:30 on the laps, but like including the rock zone, maybe 4:40 or something. And like, I could have went faster. I honestly could have. Like, the stations felt really good. I just like, even my recovery on my watch, I was 100% recovery readiness. Like, I nailed my nutrition for that whole prep. I nailed my sleep. I nailed everything. And I'm actually going to go through all that about how important your sleep, your recovery, all of that is to perform your best. Because if you're not getting enough sleep quality, you're not recovering better, good from your sessions, you're not going to be able to perform your best as well. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. Okay, I'm raging because there was no black or blue markers left in the shop, so I only had green ones, and you can't even see that, right? And but I'm going to pretend that you can see this, right? And I'll just talk you through it. So there is 2 phases that I went through last year. Okay, so obviously the first phase was fat loss, and this is where I obviously wanted to drop weight, of course. And then the second phase was to build calories back up to perform my best. So I didn't have any HYROX races booked last year. Rewind back, actually. Right, November, I done Dublin HYROX Solo Pro. That was my first HYROX Pro. And then in December, like 3 weeks later, I done London Pro. I actually did start my diet right after Dublin in November because I honestly couldn't stand to look at myself anymore. I was so unhappy, and it was only 6 weeks until Christmas, and I knew I wanted to feel better to be able to go out and feel my best going out. So I started the diet even though I had London HYROX coming up, but I did bring calories back up just before that race as well. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I didn't have any like really intense races or like a proper race that I wanted to perform my best in. London was just like kind of like a tick box, I suppose, because I had it booked. But I had nothing really booked in advance. So I knew if I locked in, got the diet done, I'd be able to bring calories back up to actually perform my best then, because I had time to do it, right? And this is why it's so important to have timelines. Not even just looking at the next 6 weeks, right? Looking at your year ahead, your 6 months, your year ahead, because then you can roadmap it out properly, timeline it out properly of when you can do a diet phase, when you need to bring calories back up to perform your best, when you can maybe do a little bit of a build-in phase if you want to build more muscle, and looking at it and mapping it out like that, because you would ideally like to do 8 to 12 weeks in each, depending on how much weight you need to lose, depending on how much muscle you need to build, depending on the time you have available to do it. So basically about 8 to 12 weeks would be a good timeline for each phase. So with me, for fat loss, I had 6 weeks until Christmas. That gave me a bit of a boost to actually diet, right? I dropped the training load for my HYROX sessions after London HYROX. I dropped the load of the HYROX sessions. So then I had basically more days available to have lower calories, even though they weren't low. They were still pretty high, to be honest. But this is so important, because if your training load is really high and it's really intense close to a race, it's very hard to diet, like extremely hard to diet, because you have to fuel those sessions. You increase the risk of injury if you drop calories way too low just because you want to lose weight. You increase the risk of injury, and that is not good. That's not what we want. We want to show up to these races fresh. We want to fuel our best. We want to feel our best. We want to perform our best. So we do not want to diet right up to a race. So it's very important to look at your whole year and map out when you have races and when you can lock in with your diet. Like me, 6 weeks, I got the diet done. I did diet for a little bit after that in January, because obviously over Christmas I had a few nights out, a lot of meals out. Even though I didn't gain weight, I just wanted to drop that a little bit more. So in January I did diet a little bit more. And the main tip that I can give you is, and I'm all about like, you can still live a life and lose weight, but for those 6 weeks before Christmas, I did not drink any alcohol. This made it so much easier, because obviously calories and alcohol is a lot. Cravings go really high, you lose out in sleep, your cravings are crazy the next day, even for the next week. You have low motivation to do anything, to do your meal prep, to train. So if you can reduce alcohol or cut it out completely for 6 to 8 weeks to 12 weeks, it will obviously boost the fat loss because you've got none of that shit going on then. And that is what I done for 6 weeks before Christmas. And I dropped the 4 kg, okay? What I did do is I had 2 weekends away as well within those 6 weeks. And obviously I was training in the mornings even when I was away. And I had carbs post session and at lunchtime. And then when I was out for dinner, I did not have carbs with my dinner. I had chicken or steak with veggies, because I use basically all my carbs during the day. It is most important to have them pre and post sessions. So that was always in the morning time for me. So then I just had to reduce my carbs at dinner, and that's the way it is. It's not a big deal. I still got to eat out, but I just was smart about my choices basically. And it was for a short period of time, because I knew that eventually I was going to bring my calories back up to maintenance for my performance phase. So you just have to be smart about your choices as well. You have to plan ahead if you want to still have a life and lose weight and also perform your best. You do have to have structure, and you need to have a plan. You can't just wing it all, because it does not work. If you wing your nutrition and you don't track it, you've got no idea what calories you're eating. It is very hard. It's probably why you are maybe where you are right now. It's why I was where I was last year, where I was unhappy in my body, because I had no clue. Even though I thought I knew what I was tracking or what I was eating, because I had tracked for years, I thought I knew. I thought I didn't need to track my calories. I thought I'd get away with it. I still gained weight, right? If you haven't been tracking calories for years and you don't understand nutrition, if you don't track your calories, it's going to be very hard to get to where you want to be. Not saying that everybody has to or that everybody should, but it definitely helped me, and it definitely helps all my clients. And this is what I go through with my clients who have been able to perform their best, is phases. They go through a dieting phase for 8 to 12 weeks. And we will roadmap it out properly, so that like if they've got a half marathon in 6 months, okay, the diet needs done in the first 3 months block when the training volume isn't too high, because then in the last 12 weeks, your training volume is going to be pretty high. We can't really reduce calories too much, only on your easy or your rest days. So ideally we want to do training blocks like that. So then going into the performance phase. So basically I got my diet done then towards the end of January, and then I done my half marathon in the start of February, and it felt so comfortable. That 4:50 pace was so comfortable. I could have definitely pushed more, but it was my first half marathon, and I didn't want to scare myself off basically, because I never viewed myself as a runner. I only got into running in June last year, basically. In March and April, I done like the odd 3 to 5 kilometer, but I struggled. And then in May, I didn't run at all. I actually done 1 5 kilometer run club in Bali, and I absolutely hated it and said never again. But I joined a HYROX training club in Bali in June last year, and that's when this all kicked off, when I started my running and my HYROX journey. And it was honestly the best decision ever. So if anybody is bored of their strength training and they want a new challenge, it is a really hard challenge, don't get me wrong. Like, it is not for the weak. I still struggle with my sessions. They are a mental challenge all the time, but like, you always feel so much better after. But going back to build my calories back up, I knew I was going back to Bali in middle of February, so I obviously wanted my diet done before I went back to Bali. So I did finish up my diet roughly at the end of January, brought my calories back up a little bit, and got to Bali, and I just had my calories basically at maintenance. And to be honest, my body actually changed a lot in my maintenance calories, because I had more energy to push harder in my sessions. Another thing actually that is really important is, last year when I started my HYROX and my running journey, I still did strength training, but I maybe didn't give it enough focus. I was scared to train to failure, because I thought that then I wouldn't be able to run and everything like that, and I wasn't fully in it, if that makes sense. But building muscle and keeping muscle mass in your body is so important to actually have that toned, lean look. So in November, when I started the diet, I focused really well on pushing myself to failure again, or close to failure, with my strength sessions. And it did make a massive difference, because obviously the more muscle mass you have on your body, the leaner you look. So that is very important, to still have a balance of all of your training, but also dial in on them. Don't just go in and half-ass it and go in and like tit around. It's not going to work. And it actually did make a massive difference. So make sure you're doing that. So back to the sleep side of things, right? It is so important. I used to be a very bad sleeper, but especially this year before my HYROX race, where we placed second, me and Kathy, I put a massive emphasis on my sleep. Like, I mean, I would be in bed at 9 o'clock, sleeping by 10, and I do get up at around 5 usually, or 4:30, and I don't know how many hours that is, but anyway, it was a lot for me. So it was always over 7-8 hours. I used to think that napping was lazy, but I would have always tried to get one nap in a week. Usually my rest day is a Friday, and it's my like less intense work day as well. So I would usually go for a nap during the day for like 2 hours, and that helped as well, because to perform your best, you have to have good sleep quality. You have to be refreshed. So make sure that you are getting good sleep. Have coffee earlier in the day. Try not to have it after lunchtime. Get off your phone an hour earlier. It is hard, but it does make a massive difference. If you're stressed, journal, get it out on a piece of paper and pen before you go to bed, because if you get into bed and you're overthinking 101 things that you should have done or what went wrong or what's going on in your life, you're not going to be able to sleep. Okay, so get that out on a piece of paper and pen. I say this to my clients all the time. Brain dump. Journal in the morning, great, all your goals and whatever, but brain dump in the evening to get rid of whatever the hell's going on in your head. Them couple of things did definitely help me. And then obviously nutrition. Like, I nailed my nutrition in my HYROX prep coming up to where we placed second. I literally nailed my nutrition. I fuel my sessions like crazy. I will get up at 5 o'clock, even if my running session isn't until 6:30 or 7, and I will fuel that correctly. And some people might say that's a little bit crazy, and you could probably just eat a little bit an hour before, and you can. Like, you can still get away with eating an hour before. But for me, doesn't work like that for me. I've tried it. It does not work. I get hungry then halfway through my session. I can't concentrate. I don't have the best energy. So this works for me. So I get up 5. I have 6 rice cakes. I have 60 grams of banana, and I have 20 to 30 grams of honey and a little bit of salt on top. And then I actually start working then, because I obviously have like an hour and a half to digest my food. So I do start working. So that it works for me. I want to make sure that I can hit my paces. If I don't hit my paces, I will be absolutely annoyed, raging at myself. So it makes sense for me to do that. Obviously, if you are somebody that works an hour away from work and you have to travel an hour, this might not work for you. Your gym might not be open, might be raining and you have to run on the treadmill. It might not work for you. You might have to just eat a little bit an hour before, and that is fine. But you still need to eat, because otherwise you're not going to be able to perform your best. And then within an hour after, to be honest, within half an hour, I will always refuel with usually oats, or like protein oats, or else like this protein acai bowl that I get here. That is usually what I do. And yeah, just like your nutrition is so important. I see and hear from so many people that they are too scared to eat over 1,600 calories. But girls, if you are trying to hit paces in running, hit your paces in HYROX, improve, try and get a PB in any of your races, if you are slashing your calories really low because you want to lose weight, it is not going to work, okay? Your training is like where the fitness is built. And if your training is shit for 8 to 12 to 20, whatever amount of weeks it is coming up to your race, you're not going to feel confident going into your race. And that is so important to be able to hit your paces. But if you're underfueled, that is going to be very, very, very hard. So please, please, please look at your nutrition and see what you can improve, because it has a massive impact on how you perform and how your confidence is in yourself for race day. Another little thing that is, I feel like I'm standing in the same spot, and it's probably getting boring to watch, but anyway, it's where the best light's coming in. But another thing that's really important is like when to know to stop dieting. For me, it was when I started to get like really tired. I could have lost a little bit more body fat, because like I still wasn't shredded or anything like that. I still had body fat, like belly fat and stuff. But it was when I was just like a wee bit too tired. Like obviously you're going to be tired at 4 o'clock if you've been up since 5 o'clock, right? That is, there's no way around that. It's nearly bedtime at that stage. But when you're starting to get too tired very early on in the day, your sleep has been really good. Like you've been getting 7-8 hours a day. Your nutrition has been nailed. Everything is going the way it's supposed to go. But you're just exhausted, like, and you feel like you need a massive nap. There was one day that I needed like a fucking 6-hour nap or something. That's when I knew I needed to stop the diet. It wasn't important enough for me to lose an extra 2 kg just to feel a little bit leaner. But my performance was going to suffer because I was way too tired, and I could have like got injured because I was so tired if I was pushing through training sessions. So you need to understand tiredness and exhaustion, basically. And that is hard to like understand, but you know your body better than anybody else. I literally said to one of my clients yesterday, we brought her calories back up, because not even that she's exhausted from training or anything, but she's exhausted from work. And that can have a massive impact on how you can perform and how you can recover from sessions. So we brought our calories back up to maintenance. She's already lean enough anyway. And that is also why it's probably so important to have a coach in your corner, because sometimes you can't see what somebody else can see, okay? You might feel like you need to lose more weight, but like literally most people don't, okay? We all carry a little bit of belly fat. Like, I hate showing my belly fat, but like we all carry belly fat, okay? I'm not shredded or anything. You don't need to be absolutely shredded to be able to perform your best either. And I want to make that very clear, because yes, I say you can lose weight, and losing weight can help for your performance 100%, but don't take it too far. You don't need to be absolutely shredded, like, because having a little bit of body fat's not the end of the world. Probably prevents injuries. And as much as I would love abs, I don't want to underfuel my sessions. I do not want to increase the risk of injury. I don't want to do that, because see, if I couldn't train, I would literally be a demon. So I do everything in my power to not risk that, like absolutely not. That's why I drill this in so much about nutrition, because nutrition is the building blocks to you not getting injured, right? If your protein isn't where it's needed to be and you're training really hard, you're increasing the risk of injury as well, right? So I weigh around 53, 54 kg. I double that in protein. So basically 110 grams of protein. Yeah, 110 grams of protein. So whatever you weigh, double that. And that's how much protein you need to eat. That is so important, right? Not just daily, or not just like across the week, but like every single day. That's so important. Now, don't get me wrong. Last week when I had a wedding, do you think I got my protein target in for a couple of days? Absolutely not, right? But it's what we do across a massive block or across the months that matter most, right? And then also carbs is so important. Like I said, pre-post sessions and throughout the day. You don't just like leave them out of every other meal of the day. Fats are so important for your hormonal health, so you want to have a good bit of fats in every meal as well. I don't have like fats or protein before my session. It's all carbs before my session, and then it is a mix of everything after my session. And I always aim for about 30 grams of protein in my breakfast, and then throughout the day it'll be like a little bit, probably 30 grams actually in breakfast, lunch and dinner. That gets me like 30, 60, 90 grams. So I only got 20 grams left. So I then have like 2 protein snacks. Or if I don't have my 2 protein snacks, I might have a little bit of like double chicken in my dinner or my lunch, basically. I keep my meals very simple, very plain, and that helps me the most. I keep my meals basically the same all the time. It saves me time. I don't have to think about anything. And I would advise you do the same if you do struggle, because you're wasting time if you're changing your meals up all the time, and you're probably going to be struggling to get your protein in if you're changing your meals 24/7. So yeah, that's a good tip as well. There's somebody on the balcony across from me. I hope he's not staring. But basically, I want to wrap it up there, and back to the little discount. Okay, I am really passionate about working with girls who like to train hard, but they also want to look their best, they want to feel their best, they want to perform their best. I am offering a little bit of a discount, and if you do want coaching, or if you want to inquire about coaching or anything like that, I would love to work with girls like me that care about how they look but also really care about how they perform. And if you're interested in coaching and you like my vibe, you can message me on Instagram and just say Fat Loss Performance Pod or YouTube, and I'll give you the details. But thank you so much for watching this and listening to this. I hope that you got some little bit of advice, and I hope it gave you the insight that you can't diet right up until a race and expect to perform your best. You need to map out phases throughout the whole year, looking ahead and scheduling it all in to be able to actually drop weight. Because if you try and put everything together, you're going to get nowhere. Because if you try and diet in a really high performance or high volume running and HYROX phase, you're going to be floored. You're not going to hit your paces. Nothing's going to feel like it's working. You're going to be annoyed, and you're probably going to give up and think, this is not for me. So mapping it out into 8 to 12 week blocks, your fat loss phase, your performance phase, and then reassess what needs to be done next after your race. And this is actually one of the main reasons I actually wanted to do this, was because there's probably a lot of people that are doing a HYROX race towards the end of the year, because there's loads of races now after being put out or whatever. So like, obviously I'm from Ireland, a lot of my followers are probably Irish or UK, and there's also a lot of Irish that are living in Australia, and there's a Melbourne HYROX towards the end of the year as well. So Dublin's November, Melbourne's in December, London's also in December. I have one client doing that. But the main thing would be, like, that's not too far away. If you wanted to drop weight, you really ideally need to start that now and get it done in the next probably 8 weeks, to be honest. And you need to knuckle in and actually get it done, okay? No half-assing it. Like, you have to be locked in, because, and I'm not saying you have to be locked in and not eat out. Like I said, last December, I had 2 weekends away. I still ate out, but I locked in and stayed in line with my goals and stayed within my calories, even with the meals out, okay? So it's not that you have to be like a hermit and sit in your ass. No, not like that at all. But you do need to lock in and stay in line with your goals when you are out and about. But that is my biggest piece of advice. Do not leave it until 8 weeks before these races to start dieting, because you don't want to feel sluggish on your race day. You don't want to feel uncomfortable running around the racetrack on your race day. You want to feel good in your outfit, and like, we pay for these races and they are expensive, and you want to feel your best and perform your best. Do not leave it until 8 weeks to start training for this. Even the training side of it alone, you need to start now, especially if you're like me and you can only maybe run 3 to 5k like I did last year when I started. The longer you give yourself, the better and more confident you'll feel on race day. But going back to the main point of this video is mapping out your phases, like your fat loss and your performance phase, right? You can't leave that all until like 8 weeks before, because then you're jumbling everything together and nothing's going to stick. So map it out, start your diet now, get it done in the next 8 weeks, build your calories back up when the running volume and the HYROX volume increases then closer to race day, and you'll hopefully get the time that you want, and you'll hopefully perform the best and feel the best on your race day. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening. And if you do want to find out about the little discount that I have, just message me Fat Loss Performance YouTube on Instagram, and I'll give you the details, and we can have a chat and see if my program is suited to you and you're suited to my program. But yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.